It's time for the Glendale Devotional Podcast, a 5-minute weekday devotional ministry from Glendale Baptist Church in Glen, Mississippi. The speaker is John Haynes. Now, here is Brother John.
Well, we've started another work week, and I hope that all is going well for you today. Last week, we started looking at Luke chapter 15, verses 11 through 32, which is the parable of the lost or prodigal son. A man had 2 sons. One of them requested his part of his father's inheritance even before his daddy died. The father graciously gave the younger son his request. The son left home, and I'm sure he never planned to return back home. However, not being used to handling money, the young son spent all that he had on prodigal and riotous living. When a famine came into this far country, the young son, now penniless, friendless, homeless, began feeding swine, an unclean animal for a Jewish person. As you remember, the son came to his senses and returned to his father. Now, I want to speak about another character in this parable. Listen to Luke chapter 15, verses 15 and 16. Then he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his fields to feed swine. And he would have gladly filled his stomach with the pods that the swine ate, and no one gave him anything. When the young man thought he had no one, we read in the scriptures that he joined himself to a citizen of that country. Quite frankly, we know very few things about this person. We know that he lived in this region for which the young son left home. It must have been somewhat of a bustling area, as the young man had spent all that he had on prodigal living. We also know that this man had swine, which lets us know that he was not of the Jewish faith. He must have been relatively well off to have a herd of swine and fields, but other than that, we really have nothing to go on. The verb joined means to glue or cement. It is very expressive here, implying that this young son forced himself upon the citizen, who was unwilling to engage him and who took him into service only upon persistent entry. You know, I used to think that this young rebel, this young son, wound up being a slave to this citizen. But the language doesn't appear to show that. In fact, perhaps he kept on asking for a job, anything to survive. The fact that the prodigal son was able to rise up and return to his father at any time lets us know that he probably wasn't restrained or made stay like a slave would be. So this unnamed citizen is recorded forever in the Word of God, and we know virtually nothing about him. However, there are some applications that we can gather from people like this anonymous man. First, show kindness, even to those who don't deserve it. This young prodigal at one time didn't have a care in the world. He thought that he had the world by the tail. Suddenly, he fell, and he fell hard. Times were bleak. Food was scarce. This citizen would have well been within his rights to tell the young man, "Listen, I can't help you. I really hate it for you, but you're going to stop pestering me about me giving you a job." But he didn't do that. It took some convincing, but this desperate young son convinced the citizen for a job, anything. The son didn't deserve it. Maybe this citizen had seen this young man act a fool just a few weeks ago. But he finally showed kindness. Not out of obligation or compulsion. He was kind. Christian, let me close by reading Galatians chapter 6 and verse 10. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all, especially to those who are of the household of faith. Sometimes you can't always assist someone, but you can always be kind. We're running a little low on that these days. So let's live out our Christian faith. Now, there are a couple more things that we'll see about this citizen tomorrow. I really appreciate your listening today. As always, I pray that you have a good and godly day.